Good afternoon. It is Monday, July 2nd, 2018. We have some breaking news to announce. Yes, the Sharks have signed JT to a one-year deal. What do you mean it's not John Tavares? What the hell? Oh, well. Anyways, we got some signings to talk about on this edition of Teal Town Live. I'm joined by AJ Strong.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. How's your summer proceedings been?
Uneventful.
Same here, pretty much. But as some Sharks fans would say, maybe that the offseason has been uneventful despite not getting John Tavares. The Sharks do sign two players this afternoon probably within an hour of each other. They got Tomas Hertl for a 4-year deal, and Joe Thornton is back for another season, just a 1-year deal this time. AJ, what did you take from the proceedings of Doug Wilson this afternoon?
Well, there's that. We would also be remiss if we also didn't mention the extension for Couture that happened yesterday.
That's true.
So the deal that Couture got, I think that's pretty much what we expected. I don't know. Well, I expected that term. I don't know that I expected that money. I thought it was going to be in line with Kane. I figured Couture would get 8 years, but I thought it would be more like 7 mil, not 8.
Okay.
So that surprised me a little bit. And of course, Wilson loves to hand out those, modified no move clauses. Then Thornton getting a year for 5 mil. I just don't know. I just don't know that I'm happy about that. That's one of those things where right now, in the moment, I'm thinking, I think the Sharks need to move on. I don't know that I like this, but we saw Thornton come back from a knee injury previously. If he's able to do it again and able to play strong again, then yeah, it looks great. And, I'm an idiot, but if we come down to the end of this year and Jumbo's not looking well and maybe his ice time is down and who knows, maybe something gets agitated with the knee. I mean, you never know how knee injuries can go. You ask Chris JWS that. So I just feel like the Sharks probably needed to move on, but obviously Tavares throws a monkey wrench in that program. So you kind of make do with what you can. And then the Hertl deal, I don't like that one just because I think the term is too short. I expected Hertl to get 5, maybe 6 years. So I'm a little shocked it's only 4.
I'm surprised it's 4. I'm with you. I thought it would have been 5 and 5, but something tells me he wants to get to the UFA part of it, and maybe that's how maybe it would have been like 5 and 6, and he's like, no, I want 4. So he's like, well, we'll give you less money for it. It's like, turns out, and according to Kevin Kurz about 15 minutes ago, his AAV will be $5.625 million, which means the deal is 4 years, $22.5 million. I'm a little surprised on the amount that he's getting per year.
I'm not. I think. Hold on. Did he get a modified clause as well? I didn't see anything about that.
I don't see anything about that yet. As far as I know, it's 5.625. Nothing yet on there.
That's what I want to know about.
And with that,
because of course
Cat hasn't updated.
Exactly what I was about to say. No update with Cap Friendly. So I'm interested in seeing if there is any type of a clause in there. If not, then I'm kind of like, well, maybe that's one of the reasons why Hertl got a little more money than you would have expected. Who knows?
Yeah.
Again, I'm just saying I'm still surprised that it was only 4 years because he had that 2-year, show me bridge deal. And I think Hertl showed a lot of people, it looks like the knee problems are behind him. Arguably the best player in the playoffs last season. So
he really stepped it up in the playoffs.
Yeah, but then again, so did Marcus Sorensen, and we know how he plays the regular season. No, I'm kidding. But it's, I don't know. I'm a little surprised by the term not being a little longer. But again, that might have been a stipulation on Hurdle's end. We don't know, and again, we don't know as of yet. Still very new. We just got what the AAV is, like maybe 10, 15 minutes ago. So maybe we'll, until Cap Friendly says it's so, but we'll have to wait about the no move.
Right. He had 22 goals, 24 assists last season for 46 points. Had a great postseason run, like we said. He had 6 goals, 3 assists in the 10 playoff games. Played phenomenally, and he's starting to get himself going. At the same time, though, he hasn't had a 25 goal season yet. Just a little iffy on the price, but everything seems to be going up. He hit career highs in goals. He tied his career high in points. He's on his way to being a success, but here's the question, though. Where do you slot him into the lineup? And for that matter, where do you slot Joe Thornton into the lineup this year?
I think you're just going to see more of the same. We've already seen DeBoer likes his pairs. We've talked about this before. And what was a key pair last season? Couture and Hurdle. So I'm going to assume that will remain. I think now, because the Sharks weren't able to lure Tavares here, unless they can figure out another option for their top line center, you're going to put Thornton there, unless this is a big unless, stranger things have occurred. For all we know, they might just throw caution to the wind and decide that, you know what, next season, the top line is not going to be the Thornton line, at least when you rely on ice time. Again, this is all speculation, and it all has to do with what's going to, how Thornton looks. But it wouldn't shock me if next season Couture and Hurdle are the top line with whoever they decide to slot there. Obviously, it won't be Bodker. Maybe it's Donskoy. Maybe it's Meyer. But you have Couture and Hurdle as your top pair with whoever is on the other side. The second line could very well be Pavelski centering, whoever. And
Jumbo and Kane.
No. Oh yeah. Duh. I can't believe I forgot about Kane. But so you have the top line could be Couture centering Kane and Hurdle, and your next, down the line, your centers could be Couture, Pavelski, and Thornton. And then, and then possibly Tierney or whoever, if they don't, like, obviously Eric Fair is gone, which is kind of a bummer, but I just don't think Thornton is going to have the normal ice time that we've seen from him. Age catches up to you, the knees catch up to you. They might want to give him limited time. It wouldn't surprise me if the Sharks are up 5-0 or 5-1 or something, or they've got a significant lead and everything looks good. If you see Thornton's ice, minutes get way reduced. We saw right. What was the game that we saw with I'm trying to think if it wasn't the game where the Sharks just went to town. Didn't they have like a really good game against Vegas and they were up by like game 3 or game 4 or something like that? And they basically sat Burns for the entire third period.
I believe it was game 4.
And I don't know. That might have been Anaheim.
Game 4.
Was that Anaheim or Vegas?
Yeah, I think it was Anaheim game 4.
Yeah,
I believe it was Anaheim game 4. So
I do remember and it was basically they called it maintenance time or whatever. I wouldn't surprise me if we see that happen with Thornton. That take advantage of that opportunity if you can build and get in that rest when you can. And we saw DeBoer do that when his first season here, where you weren't seeing a lot of practices because there was just no time to do it, and you had to build in some time to rest.
Yeah, and you're going to see, I would think you're going to see more maintenance days out of him. I think that would be natural more than anything. As of right now, so, and mind you, they also have Tierney out there, but nothing's been finalized, but they've what is it, offer sheeted him, not offer sheet, qualified an offer to him, and at this moment they have 8.2, roughly a little over 8.2 mil left in the cap. I can't see more than 3 going to Tierney. If it is, it's just, that's just asking for too much, you know.
I think it's asking for too much. I think it's. I wonder how much Tierney considers the last offer insulting. That's the thing that I'm a little curious about. He might have considered that last deal a little bit of an insult, and so maybe, and he did have his best season last year. But of course, you know, give me any player that's in their contract year, and I'll show you, you know, a potential all-star every time. So I don't want Wilson to overpay for Tierney. I mean, a good piece, but Hockey Jerk will tell you ad nauseum that, you know, it took him 4 years to get to this point, and it's serviceable, but there could very well be a piece out there that would work better for, you might get, you know, more for less money type of a deal. And now that the Sharks have lost the Tavares sweepstakes, who's to say that they don't take a page out of Vegas's playbook and try to take some of that money and fill the third and fourth lines with quote unquote second line players type of a thing, and really try to beat you with their third and fourth lines and say, look, you know, yeah, it's not, we don't have 2005, 2006 Joe Thornton out there, but Couture is obviously very good. Hurdle coming into his own. Hopefully we see more from Sorensen. Plus you have Timo, you have LeBanc, you have Kane. Donskoy is, I don't want to say he's like Marlowe 2.0 with regards to consistency, but I think Donskoy's kind of played himself out of a, he's just not the guy that you were like, oh yeah, we definitely got to make sure we sign him. I think it's like, oh yeah, he's played himself expendable. So I don't know. It's going to make for a fun summer. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, and then you throw in with what's going on this week, the development camp, where you have Gambrell, you have Balsers. I keep forgetting the guy that we signed from Europe, Auntie, and now Alex is going to show up. Auntie Numont. I got to look this up, but and you have a number of guys that are going to be in the running for it. But the Auntie Sum, Gen X is going to kill me for saying this. Auntie Sumuela. He's a centerman, but I'm sure he can play wing, and that might be the filler for perhaps Fair on the fourth line there. But again, it's totally up to what they want to do, and I mean, 8 mil with the cap, and I guess, you know, we can safely say that Erik Karlsson probably isn't coming here, and if he is, let's just start the whole Burns to forward yapping again, because now we have another defenseman on our hands.
No.
But,
I mean, you still have to replace DeMello, though.
So, I'm sorry?
You still have to replace DeMello, you know, if you don't sign him. So you're going to have to fill that slot, too. I don't think the Sharks are up. You know, there was a lot of talk about Tim Heed being like, oh, that would be a great pairing because Dylan's more of a stay-at-home guy. Heed has more offensive upside, a little more speed. And I think this summer is kind of do or die for Tim Heed. Because remember, Heed's an older guy. What, he's like 27? So
Heed is where are you? Oh, he's 27 years old. He is in his final year of his contract, and he becomes a UFA after the season. So he has something to prove there.
Yeah, this is do or die for Timmy Heat. I think they cut bait with him if he doesn't make the jump this season. Again, so who do you have in the pipeline after that? Is it going to be Jeremy Waugh? Is it who's going to? It certainly isn't going to be Merkley at 18 years old. So
Right. Well,
I mean,
you just never know if he has a dynamite camp. You also have Nick DeSimone, and Jacob Middleton, but I mean, Kevin Lacey and Ian Reed could tell you, numerous times about the depth on defense, and maybe those guys aren't quite ready for it yet. And obviously, Joachim Ryan stepped in, did a pretty decent job in the playoffs after Par Martin's little gaffe in Game 3.
I will remember. No, I'm kidding. So we're clearly not getting Mike Hoffman. So anyway, it's again. Well, hold on. I did see something from Felix. Do you think this is Jumbo's last season? Without a doubt. I think there's a part of me that thinks last season should have been Jumbo's last season, but I also think that Wilson gave him this deal. It's clear Thornton wants to retire as a Shark. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. God love him for that. And I think it's also a part of a respect that you don't want to see a player in their career like that, on a fluke, a fluke injury. Friendly fire for Christ's sake. So I don't think you want to see a guy go out like that. But I would, if you're a big Jumbo fan, I would, maybe bring the camera a little bit more to games or do what you need to do. But I embrace next season because I would bet it's going to be Jumbo's last in Teal.
And it's, it is. He's very photogenic during warmups too. So definitely get out there and enjoy it. So, not to throw any fuel to the fire, but Erik Karlsson just makes $6.5 million this year. So,
Slash saying, Jumbo was playing awesome until Bodker fell out. Exactly my point. Started off slow, but then had a tear there for a while. Wow, that's probably not the right word. He had a run there, a really good run, and was playing really, really well up until then. Pun not intended. But
awkward.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, and he was shooting the puck more. For that matter too, and which I thought was impressive.
Yeah, because he was making up for LeBanc passing all the time.
Yeah, that's true. He's like, okay, yeah, yes, Kevin, I did teach you a few things. You don't have to pass all the time. It's like, but Jumbo, you taught me to pass all the time. Yeah.
Chris saying the power play says took a tear when he went down. I think he means like took a dump. Top 5 down to bottom 5. Yeah. I mean, and that's another issue. See, we can sit here and discuss, okay, well, so we've gotten some extensions completed. The Sharks are going to have to fiddle with their lines, obviously. I mean, not too much because, I mean, if you think about it, if you look at the lines, I mean, who, aside from Bodker, who isn't here anymore? Pretty much still have everybody.
You pretty much have everybody.
I mean, Hansen and Ward were not seeing ice time. So for the most part, you're probably going to see the addition. I think you'll see somebody.
Yeah, but I mean, but Fair's gone, and does Sue Mella get in there?
Well, who knows? And does Sorensen finally make the leap from postseason performer to regular season performer, which seems like an odd way, more of a lateral move, not more of a jump. But anyway, I think they need to address just the kind of behind the scenes stuff, whether it's, like the Sharks I really liked the Sharks in the circle this year. Couture and Hurdle played well in the circle this year. Fair had some key moments, so you have to replace that. But, there was who was the guy that was brought in I forget, but he was supposed to be kind of like the eye in the sky for the power play and all that. I know they had brought in last season
Dave Barr.
Yeah, and what happened? Like there was really not much of a difference in the way of the power play. So looking at that, maybe reassess Steve's spot with the team. Maybe there could be stuff that we're unaware of. But look into that. And then I think the other thing they need to look into is, Tim Burke and development, scouting, drafting.
They got to hit better on their early picks, more so than anything. I think they got to hit early on their picks. And one of the interesting things is just what of a risk they took with Merkley.
Exactly. That was so not a Sharks kind of pick. So that I think could really, could define that group, because the Sharks have played it safe for so long when it comes to the draft. So for them to really switch up their MO and take this risk, God, I hope it pays off. I mean, it certainly feels like, just how they always say that, when a ref misses a call or says a bad call, they all even out at the end of the season. I'm kind of feeling like that needs to happen with the Sharks and their scouting. And it's like, there's just been so many misses, particularly on defense, that it's like, the pendulum's gotta swing the other way at some point.
Right. And you would hope that they could hit on something. If not, they'll be trading like a couple of pieces to get that something in return.
See, and that's my, we talked about this. We talked about this before, is that when it comes to like the San Francisco Giants, you looked at them when they were winning championships, and what was it? Almost the entire infield, pretty much everybody was all homegrown, whether Posey, Belt, Crawford, Panic, Panda. In that pitching staff, which everybody, Lincecum, Bumgarner, Matt Cain, all, and they purchased their outfield. But that's an easier thing to find,
Right.
So it's like the Sharks, they've imagined what the Sharks would be cap space wise and whatnot if they had drafted Brent Burns instead of having to buy him. Remember the sweetheart deal that the Sharks had for Vlasic for so long? He was so underpaid for what he was doing. But you had to go out, you had to go and pay Burns the big money. You had to give up key pieces to get him when you actually could have drafted him. And I forget who did we take instead of Burns, like Bernier or something like that.
Oh gosh, I would have to look it up again, but it's Burn. It's
like Kaspar
that Burns was drafted. Oh god, if it was 04, I think it is Kaspar. If it's 03, then it's Burns or Mahalik.
Yeah. So anyway, but you understand the point is that if the Sharks, if just a couple of those defensive guys panned out, it would have really changed the complexity of this, because you wouldn't be having to sink this big money into them. And you know me, I thought that Dylan for a 5'6" guy getting over $3 million, like close to $4 million, I thought that's like gross overpayment when you compare to other teams, especially in the Pacific. What most 5'6" guys are getting, 1.5 tops, and you're paying Dylan that much. But Dylan's play has come along quite a bit, but it just goes to show that, if only you could have developed them and had a little more time, and you wouldn't have had to go out and overpay, is basically and Chris of pointing out, every team has a long list of great players they passed on. I completely get that, but it's the idea of there was just that window where it seemed like the Sharks just missed on so many. I don't expect them to bat 1,000, but I don't think batting 250 is, out of the, is that too much to ask for?
Or 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 wouldn't be bad. To answer that question, Milan Mahalik was 6th overall in the 2003 draft. The Sharks also had another pick in that draft. They took Steve Bernier at 16. Following that, 17th was Zach Parise of New Jersey. Follow that up with Eric Fair, who was taken 18th overall. Then Ryan Getzlaff at 19th. And then Brent Burns at 20th.
So you get my point. I mean,
and Ryan Kessler at 23rd.
Holy crap! What a deep draft that was.
Wait, there's more.
Oh Jesus!
But wait, there's more. Corey Perry, 28th overall in that first round. So
okay, and so to Chris's point though, he says every team has a long list of great players they passed on. Again, I totally get that, but what did Anaheim had 2 picks in the first round that season. Who did they get? Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaff. And the Sharks take Mahalik and Bernier. To me, that like somebody should have been fired after, like 5 or 6 years down the road. If they're still part of this organization, like how do you blow? Anaheim did fantastic, and the Sharks did what they did. They
were a piece for deals for Heatley and Campbell is what they ended up being.
I mean, could you imagine?
One thing, what was it, Felix? Should we read into anything into Pabs not being extended yet? I wouldn't think so. I think DW wants to have him show me what you're capable of, and at his age, I mean,
30,
what do you
34?
think?
See, 33?
Yeah,
34?
and
somewhere in there.
Something like that. And Cap Friendly just updated it now, so they are at 8.2 mil left on the.
Okay. Bird saying, but they got Pavelski in the 7th round. No, I will tell you, the Sharks. That is one of the things that they've done is that they've mined for gold in the later rounds. I mean, Pavelski at 7th, I believe. Yeah, like I think LeBanc was taken in the 6th or 7th round. I think Justin Braun taken like in a 6th. So I mean, they have mined. they have definitely mined for gold when it comes to those lower rounds. I'll be the first one to talk about that and give them kudos for that. With regards to Pavelski, this is upsetting me right now because I literally made this spreadsheet of like picks under Wilson and I can't find it. It's very upsetting to me.
Pavelski was a 7th rounder in 2003. Braun was a 7th round pick in 2007.
Yeah, so they've definitely mined for some gold. Let me look here. Okay, LeBanc, round 6. Joakim Ryan, round 7. I mean, they've pulled off some good stuff, but there's a couple rounds, like you look at, or a couple rounds, I mean, a couple draft years, 2010, not fantastic. I mean, yeah, okay, you took Charlie Coyle in the 2nd round, didn't have a 1st or a 3rd, and then it's a bunch, and then it's a literal who's that of hockey, and a couple CUDA guys or whatever, but nothing really to speak of. Yeah, okay, the Coyle deal did help you net Burns, but then the year before that, 2009, no 1st round, no 3rd round, no 4th round, no 6th round, and the 2 picks you had in the 2nd round, William Wren, Taylor Doherty, both defensive busts. So there was a stretch there, and the year before that, no picks in the 1st and 2nd, Justin Daniels in the 3rd, Harry Sateri, Julian Demir. Boom, Tommy Wingles in the 6th, Jason Demers in the 7th. So I mean, you got value there, but it's hard to tout the value at the back end. That needs to be the icing. But where's the cake? You know what I mean? And there's some stretches there that not a lot going on there. But back to Pavelski. You guys know I've been saying this for a while. I'm the Bill Walsh guy. Get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late. I think this is the perfect time to get rid of Pavelski. I mean, you let him play out his season here, but if the Sharks are outside looking in of the playoff picture and by a decent amount, if they're like a game or two out, then maybe okay, fine. But if they're like 6-7 games out of the playoff picture come the trade deadline, I'm like, yeah, if someone's going to come along and give you solid value for Pavelski, you absolutely get rid of him and bring back value. You already have the next captain. You just signed him for 8 years.
Right. I completely agree. And I'm getting texts. No, stop with Pavs. It's a show me deal. I think it's a similar to what Patty and Jumbo dealt with. What was it, 2013-14, when they each got matching 3-year deals, and they kind of just filtered down after that. But they've traded high round picks to buy in talent. That's Gen X said that, and that's pretty much the thing. And like Nevis says, Pavs is not the problem. It isn't the problem. It's trying to find that top centerman, which I guess would be. I mean, might as well be Logan Couture now.
Yeah, and I'm not by any
find a number 2 center eventually.
I'm not saying Pavs is the problem whatsoever. I'm just saying Pavs is an opportunity. That's what I'm saying. Right. Find out, determine what you're going to do with Pavelski. Is this the right time? If someone's going to overvalue him, if someone's going to overpay you to get Pavelski, then you take that deal. You need to, we're beyond the Marlowe era. I think we're just about to be beyond the Thornton area. It's kind of like it's time for the next wave. It's that huge core had a lot of time to get stuff done. It's time for the next group. Let's find that next big name, that next superstar. Obviously, the Sharks were trying to get that to happen with Jonathan Tavares. It didn't happen. You move on, you find that next, that next key cog that's going to be part of the team for years to come.
Yeah, and it's going to be quite interesting as to how it all turns out.
Great comment by Gen X. It's Pavelski isn't the problem. It's the lack of a 24, 25, 26-year-old draftee pushing Pavs to be the number 1 center. Yeah. You got to have a young guy nipping at your heels, pushing you to be a better player, or they're going to take your spot. And right now, the Sharks don't have that.
Right, Pavs sense is like complacent because you guys don't have it, so might as well just happen to just rehash on there. Keep going with him until somebody shows up.
Well, and again,
or is that somebody ever show up?
It doesn't help Doug Wilson when he continues to give these no move, no trade clauses out. That's, he keeps tying his hands with those. And I go back to, I believe it was 2012. I want to say it was 2012, the 2012 season. It might have been 2014, but I thought it was in 2012 when LA won the cup. When you looked on Cap Friendly, or what was it back then?
Cap Geek.
Yeah, Cap Geek. When you looked on Cap Geek back then, the LA Kings had one guy that had a no move, and it was somebody that they had traded for. I think it was like Lucic or something like that. That sounds right.
No, it can't be Lucic. Who was on the 2012 team?
Well, maybe it was 2014. Either way, you go back and look. I remember looking at the stats. They had one guy, and it was literally a guy that they had just traded for. Nobody else on that team had a no move. And then you looked at the Sharks roster that season, half the team had no move clauses.
Well, it was even worse when Vancouver went for their President's Trophy and Stanley Cup run, and they handed him out more and more than DW has, and it really cost them in their rebuild, which they're now finally getting caught up on a little bit now.
Yeah. So, are the Sharks going to be looking like that? And you go back to some shows that we did just after the 2016 Stanley Cup run the Sharks had. That was one of my primary concerns was, look at Vancouver did what they did. They went to the final all the way to Game 7, lost Game 7 to Boston. And what happened? Within 3 to 4 years, just just circling the drain. And one of my biggest concerns was, and we were talking about that, is because Wilson hands out so many of those no move, no trades, ties his hands, and limits him to what he can do. Are the Sharks going to end up being the Canucks in 3 to 5 years where they miss the playoffs? They're looking poor. Now, granted, they've got a good core that is extended, but I'm just saying, we'll see.
Yeah. To recap, since Mike Nevis was asking for what the deals were, we'll start with Couture. It's 8 years, 8 mil AAV, 64 million overall. For Hurdle, it's 4 years, 22.5 million. It's going to have a 5.625 AAV on the cap, and Jumbo's 1 year, 5 mil. So that's what's going on here. Burge 7F91. I think the best move this offseason was having the Kings overpay for an aging Kovalchuk. I think he'll be a Half-Flat-esque bust.
I don't know about that.
He could go up and down, but what'll be really, really busting is if Slava Voinov gets back into the league. That'll be huge.
I'm actually surprised that I'm surprised Kovalchuk signed with a Pacific Division team. I'm a little surprised he signed in the West, because I mean it's going to be it's a harder travel schedule. LA plays a heavy game. It's going to be interesting to see how Kovalchuk adjusts to that. Anaheim doesn't. I mean, what did Anaheim get? They like Luke Shen or so. I mean, who was it that they're like Anaheim really hasn't done much, and just like Thornton, Getzlaf and Perry are close to aging out. I've heard a lot of people are fed up with Corey Perry, and and they're fed up with the Ducks front office that they haven't been able to move him and get something back for him. It's like similar to what I was just saying, where the Thornton Pavelski era is it's time to close the book on that. I think the same thing is happening in Anaheim. They're ready to close the book on Getzlaf and Perry, hand the team over to Raquel, whoever, but it's time for that next group to come along. So I don't know.
In with the 3 California teams, I think they're similar in that sense. You're starting to get your aging veterans starting to get up there in age, and you have Perry, Getzlaf, and Kessler, the same age as Pavelski at 33. You're starting to look and see who's out there to either draft or get via trade, because you're looking at Vegas get Stastny. You look at St. Louis, who I thought overpaid for Ryan O'Reilly way too much, plus had to pay his bonus. That was really ridiculous.
And didn't St. Louis get Perron back too?
And yeah, they got Perron back this year.
St. Louis making moves.
St. Louis making moves. I tell me if I'm wrong, but I heard, and I think this is just a little overboard, but the Sharks were like the only ones that didn't sign anybody to a free agent deal yet. And I'm like, I'm kind of okay with that. I thought this team was pretty good as it is now. I sure would have been awesome to get Tavares, but Patrick Marleau had to call him up and tell him how wonderful he likes Toronto. So on that one.
I go back to I think maybe Doug Wilson's going to decide
you're muted, AJ.
Oh, how am I muted? How?
No. Then how can I not hear you? I know my ears didn't die. Go ahead, AJ.
Wait a minute. Yeah, dude, it's you, because I'm listening and I can still hear me. So it's something with you. Check your batteries. Anyway, like I was saying, I go back to, does Doug Wilson take a page out of the Vegas playbook and decide to go and take that extra money and put second line guys playing on the third line and third line guys playing on the fourth line for the Sharks and try to build that up? But yeah, see, they're saying we hear you. It's just, see, when it comes to this type of crap, I can't trust you. Your connection is crap. It is, so I just can't do it. But with that, life marches on, and I actually am turning. It's beyond 4, and I turn into a pumpkin now, so I got to bail. So enjoy the rest of the show. Or I think it's probably time to wrap up anyway. But I also added a new article today to Teal Town USA, so go check that out. Just some key dates for the summer. some stuff that we can expect, some speculation as well. So go check like that. I want my first line on the fourth line. See, there you go, Al. Anything left for you?
No, that's pretty much it. Check us out at tealtownusa.com. We'll see where everything happens. And, well, we kind of take a month or so off, essentially, but we'll be back here if anything breaks. And definitely check us out on the Twitter machine and Instagram. We'll have more for you coming very, very soon.
All right.
So just keep an eye on that. Until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. We will see you in the very near future. And if not, maybe Friday at the prospect scrimmage.
See you.